I just want to read you this headline from New York Times, and you tell me what you feel when you hear this headline. Lovely Warren, troubled Rochester mayor to resign in plea deal. Ms. Warren will leave office early as part of a plea deal on campaign finance violations. The deal also resolves gun charges against her. Mm-hmm. So if we're speaking on the campaign violations, I think it's, again, I feel like, again, when certain media get a hold of things, they remix things to what you want to believe. So if you're speaking to us, when they say campaign finance violations, what were they trying to depict?
Yeah, that was a very difficult time. And, that I'm going to separate the two because they're two separate issues.
Okay.
The campaign finance issue is very complicated. I had two people that were volunteers, and they made a mistake. Ultimately, my name is at the top, and I'm held responsible for their mistakes. But I want to make it clear that it was never about missing money. Okay. Every dollar was accounted for. Everything was reported. They thought at the time that they were doing things right. And we had advice from, someone that we believed to be an attorney at that time, and, made some decisions that ultimately caused us a lot of heartache and a lot of grief. In the end, when it came down to taking, not going to bat, not going to trial and all that, what happened with my daughter's father and my ex-husband. And that played a lot into why my attorneys and everyone, and also myself, felt that I needed to get this over with. My daughter, who at the time was was 10, getting ready to be 11, was at the center of all of this. She was right at the center. And not knowing what was getting ready to happen with her dad, I knew that she needed her mom. And, everything in me wanted to fight, and everything in me wanted to continue to go forward with that. But I had chosen my career for a long time. Ever since she had been born, I was in public service, in public office. And I felt that no matter what, I needed to make a tough decision to choose her. And that's ultimately what I did.
And that's where the plea deal comes in.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a second issue that arose from, what happened with with her father, and that was this issue of weapons, and I'll say weapons being found in my home. And I want to be very, very clear about something, because I don't think that things were clear before, right? In the time that we have been able to deal with this issue, there was a CPS investigation, so which my daughter was at the center of. So I'm at work and I get a call that this is all happening, and so my daughter's home and she's home alone and all of that, and I'm like, wait a minute, she just got off the bus, like what's going on? So I'm clueless at this point. And then I get this information that, that there were these guns, and I want to say that they were legally owned guns, right? And so dealing with them, my brother-in-law, who I appreciate so much, because I have to say that when Taylor's father got locked up, he stepped in and truly was a great support to my family. When he, a few years, over the years, had several back surgeries. And because we had a bathroom on the first floor and an extra room, he came to stay with us. And he stayed with us for off and on for probably about 6 months at a time. When he came, he brought his stuff with him. And one of those things was a legally owned rifle. Okay. And he hid it in what he believed to be a safe place. And but it wasn't locked, right? So you can own this without, but the important part of that was it had to have, in the city of Rochester, it has to have a lock on it. And it didn't have a lock on it.
So that's what made it illegal.
Correct.
Okay.
It was illegally stored,
Okay.
right? So it wasn't an illegal weapon
Okay.
because it did not have a lock. It was in a secure bag. I ended up seeing the pictures and all of that because during this CPS investigation, they went through all of that, right? And, family had to come and testify and talk to them, and they went through everything. And I was able to see the bag, and the issue was that it didn't have a lock on it, and we had a 11-year-old daughter in the house, right?
Okay.
And then there was the issue of a handgun that was found that was legally owned by my mother-in-law. And so what had happened with that situation was my mother-in-law in April, and this is all documented, had a severe food poisoning. Something happened where she was very sick, went to the emergency. And if you see my in-laws, they would, they're all legally and licensed gun owners. They believe in the Second Amendment. So if you see them out, they probably have their permit, and they probably have, something on them, right? And so, so she drove herself to the hospital. When going into the hospital, she realized, like, oh shoot, I have, I'm taking my purse and I have my gun in here. So she called, she called her son and said, hey, listen, I got to go to the hospital. I'm not feeling well. Please come. I can't take this gun in there. Please come and get it. And that's what he did. He came, he got it, he hid it in the home where he believed was in a secure place, so that when she got out, that she could get it. Well, she was in and out of the hospital for almost the month of April, dealing with this stomach bug, the stomach virus, wasn't really feeling well, eating and other things like that. And then, May comes and this happened, right? So, there was a lot that wasn't explained there. And I think that it's important that people know what happened there. And
so what's your rebuttal to the beauty shop's gossip to say, well, I know what's going on in my house. How did she just not know that was in her house? What's your rebuttal to that popular statement?
Well, I think that nobody goes home and looks and searching and through closets and doors and behind dressers and all that. Nobody does that. However, after, hearing and talking to my in-laws at the time, I can understand what happened here. It wasn't that, they wanted to harm me or, or they left it there for protection. It wasn't. It was a very innocent set of circumstances that turned into a very tragic situation because they were both combined, right? So when you have the first situation combined with the second situation, and then there are going to be separate, separate cases, right? I have to make a decision. Am I going to ride this out for the months or even possibly a year, take my daughter through all of that, or do I deal with it all at once